So, hello everybody. Do you hear me well? Perfect. So, did you like the title first? Because I struggled a lot on thinking about which was the correct title, the correct presentation from what I wanted to say, because I didn't want to speak again about how to code, best practices of code development and stuff, because you are all very skilled about it, and I saw all the other conferences, they were all very technical. So I wanted to give a slightly different point of view to this presentation. So I wanted to speak to you about how in Deloitte we address complex enterprise architectures in the cloud and leverage it on the Salesforce platform. So this is my topic for today. We will just go through an introduction, myself, Deloitte, and Salesforce, a little bit of enterprise architecture design, tips and tricks, best practices and stuff, a bit about Devops, and then, as usual, the question and answering at the end. Okay, introduction. Okay, I'm working in Deloitte for 5 years now. I was hired as a Salesforce developer, and when I was hired, I didn't even know what Salesforce was, so it was a surprise for me. Is there anyone that knows Salesforce here in the room? Okay, apart from my colleagues. Okay, it's not bad, not bad. Okay, so after 5 years now, I'm a manager in different projects about digital transformations in very big customers, mainly in the automotive and the retail consumer goods industries. And I've also worked in setting up best practices for DevOps, continuous integration, continuous deployments, and stuff. And we work always in multicultural, multi-country teams of people. We have, it's very common to have people working together from Greece, Italy, India, London, South Africa, at the same time, the same project in the same call, so it's very common. And we, as part of Deloitte, we have really a very big impact on our customers, so we address their challenges from the start to the end. We followed our customers from the real first part of the project to the very end. And so I will tell you a bit today about how we do it. That's it. I hope that you like it. Just a bit more about myself to give you an idea of what is Salesforce. Thanks. These are my certifications that I have. Salesforce you can have many more certifications even if you want. There are more than 30 available, even more. You can specialize in the architectural part. That is what I'm doing right now. And Salesforce allows you to be very strongly focused on the domain that you prefer the most. You can stay more on the sales and service area, more on the business side of things, or you can stay in the more architectural area like me, and you can be more on the technical area. These are all the certifications in Salesforce that allows you to understand at a very deep detail everything that is behind the architectures, systems, identity, authentication, integrations, and development. Or you can stay on the more application architecture, where you have to know about data architecture, sharing visibility management, so giving the right visibility to the right people, to the right records, and stuff. Okay, let's go on. What is Salesforce? Okay, a lot of you already know it, but it's good, but I will just to give you a bit of an overview. Salesforce is the global leader in customer relationship management platform. It's a software on the cloud, so nothing to install on your computer. It's used by 150,000 companies in the world and more. This is how it could look like. Everyone can access Salesforce from everywhere. from your mobile phone even, or from your web browser. But what is Salesforce? So Salesforce is a list of functionalities, of tools, of modules. We start with a platform that is the core functionality. It's like, let me say, by simplifying, it's like a database with a lot of functions, processes, and APIs and stuff. Then there are a lot of modules that the customers can or cannot activate, from Service Cloud to manage the contact center solution, to Sales Cloud to manage your sales representatives. And there are modules for marketing automation. And then also Salesforce acquired quite recently two big player. One is Mulesoft in the integration side that now is owned by Salesforce. And one is Slack. Slack, you all know about it. It has been acquired also. So Salesforce is growing a lot. Why it is important for our clients? Obviously, because Salesforce puts in the center the customer. Everything works around the customer in a very integrated and streamlined way. And all the teams within the company can collaborate to manage the customers, to give the customer the best possible experience, from the selling part when they are buying your products, to the service part, to the support in the after sales, to the marketing, commerce, and everything. So everything is fully integrated around the customer. So it's also called the Customer 360 because of this. This is just an idea of how Salesforce looks like in the customer service area. This is the Service Cloud module with the Service Cloud Voice plugin. And what you see, for example, is the console, the portal that the call center agent uses when he logs into Salesforce to manage customer complaints, customer issues, tickets, or information requests, and so on. For example, let's say that you buy a car, the car breaks, and you want to contact the brand because of some repeated issue with your warranty and stuff. You take the phone, you call the brand, the contact center. The contact center will log into Salesforce, and if he's available, if he's not managing other customers, he will receive the incoming call directly in Salesforce. And this is okay, normal. What is incredible is that Salesforce automatically translates and transcripts the speech. So the phone call is recorded and it's transcribed here automatically. And thanks to AI and all the artificial intelligence that is behind it, it understands also the keywords, the sentiment, and provides insights like recommendations on knowledge articles, like frequently asked questions and stuff, and also actions and recommendations. So here it identified some issues and is helping the agent during the phone call in addressing the customer issues at the very best. This is just an example. Salesforce is built with standard and custom functionalities. So you can build a lot of very incredible scenarios and functionalities and processes by just using standard processes. So no code, nothing, all standard. But you can obviously customize everything to your client needs. So there are a lot of tools that enable the development in Salesforce. First is the Apex language. It's the backend language. It's very similar to Java. Then there are Lightning Web Components that are portions of the UI that you can build, customize, and present to your customers, and so on. I don't want to go into much details. This is just theory. This is an example of an Apex programming language. As you can see, it's very similar to Java. There are training courses online called Trailheads where you can learn everything up to the last detail. Same for an example of Lightning Web Component. It's as you can see, it's a metadata. It's similar to HTML language with some custom metadata. And this is an example of a Lightning Web component that you can build from scratch. Okay, so as you can see, it looks like the standard Salesforce. It looks like the service console that we saw before, because it's built on the same platform, but this is custom code, 100% custom code. Okay, this is the introduction on Salesforce. Now, how can we leverage Salesforce to design IT architectures that solve the most complex challenges that our clients ask us to solve? What I will do now is I will present you one of our projects anonymously, but I will tell you the industry, the size of the company, and I will tell you which was the problem and how we addressed it. Okay, this is the use case. We have a premium brand in the fashion and luxury industry, Italian brand from Milan, very big, global. It has 1.5 billion revenues per year, so it's very big, more than 3,000 employees in the world, and so on, 500 stores and stuff. They have a very, very old IT architecture. They have systems that run on-premise in their data centers, hosted on-site, in-house, with all the efforts in maintenance, in updating that you can imagine. And it's really hard to update. Every update is a mess and creates a lot of issues, regressions, problems, and complaints from the business, from the customers and stuff. So this was the problem. They asked, so the customer asked us to help them migrate what we were thinking that could be migrated to the cloud, moving to the Salesforce stack. So we started by analyzing the situation. So that's a typical analysis, design, build. That's a typical three-phase approach of every project. So we started by an analysis of the client pain points, the client needs, the current architecture. We understand the client vision. So where does he want to go in the next year, in the next 2 years, and so on. Then we had the phase of design, where we designed together with the customer a comprehensive solution and a roadmap of implementation, considering feasibility, dependencies, time, costs, and stuff. At the end, we also built it. So in 6 months, we built everything. Thanks to Salesforce, we managed to do everything in just 6 months. It was a very, very big and complex digital transformation. It was not possible with any other tool, with any other on-premise tool, to build exactly the same thing that we did without Salesforce. And so let's start from the analysis. We always start, we don't have to look at all the details, but we always start to tackle the analysis from our industry knowledge. In Deloitte, we have teams that are very strongly focused on specific industries or on specific chapters, let's say, like types of projects like CRM migration, security, and stuff. So we start by giving the customer our knowledge of the industry, how things have to be done, basically. These are, for example, the typical processes, systems, enablers in generally in the retail industry, consumer goods industry. So that means that every customer in the retail, they have to have a supply chain management. They have to have inventory management to know how many T-shirts they have, and so order management, they have to have marketing, and so on. So these are all the processes that are normally used, normally implemented in the retail industry. Then we move to the Salesforce stack. So how and which of these processes and systems is can be implemented using Salesforce. As you can see, almost everything. Maybe only the ERP, that is clearly another thing, is out of this slide, but almost everything can be delivered using Salesforce, because Salesforce is not just CRM, it's really a lot of things. So there are service processes like customer support, case management, return management. When you have when you purchase the T-shirt for 1,000 euros and there is a problem, you want a return management that is super handy, streamlined, no problems, fast and stuff. No, so it's important. Every one of these processes is very important. And once we have identified which are the main areas of interest of the client, which is the highest priorities for the business needs and so on, finally we start with the more technical stuff, and we start to map the current state of the IT architecture. So basically we start to understand which are the systems used now by our client, and we map them all. For example, there is the ERP in SAP, the data warehouse is a custom implementation, the product information management to store product catalogs, the name of the T-shirt, and these kind of things. The digital asset management is always used in the retail to store all the imagery, all the inspirational descriptions, translations and stuff. Then there are other systems like the HR systems and many more. Our customer had a custom integration layer. It basically was a custom build in Azure with some kind of very old and very custom mechanism to manage API calls as an integration layer. Then they have point of sales, the POS in the store where you pay. Very old again. They had also an application to manage customers in the store. So when you enter the store, you have to search for the customer, register, and so on. They had also a custom clientele app that we will see that we replaced. And then they have a legacy CRM on-premise and other stuffs. So what we did, starting from this, is the target state. So we try to understand for each of the previous systems if it could be maintained, because it's still fine, it works, it can be kept, like the ERP. And we started to understand what should be replaced, like the integration layer. We introduced Mulesoft because it's in the Salesforce stack now. All the CRM, all the marketing stuff are in the Salesforce stack. The e-commerce, also the website online, will be replaced using Salesforce Commerce Cloud. That is, again, another module of Salesforce. Salesforce Commerce Cloud is super used. A lot of the websites that you visit every day use Salesforce Commerce Cloud for the e-commerce. So once we identified all of the systems, all of the modules, of the capabilities that will have to be implemented, we started with the data architecture. So data architecture means mapping, identifying the data, the entities, the relationships, the mastership of data, where everything is stored, is maintained, is mastered, and integration, the meaning of each field. Okay, we started with this kind of analysis and design. We identified these are just the main entities, but there will be a lot more, like the product catalog, the customer is the main entity in the middle, sales, so the purchases that the customer are doing in the stores, orders that the customer are doing online, complaints, and stuff. Then we identified the mastership for each of these entities. So which is the system that should be the master, that is or that should be the master of each entity. For example, the orders are normally managed in SAP, in the ERP. The customers, they are master Salesforce because Salesforce is the customer relationship management solution, so customers are master Salesforce. Complaints, information requests, again, are master Salesforce. There are also a lot of things like surveys for the feedback management. So Salesforce provides also a module to handle surveys and to retrieve back the results of the surveys completed in Salesforce, to act on it, to create actions, triggers, and maybe to create automatically complaints if a survey was not if a customer was not very happy. That's something that we normally do. And yeah, finally, from the mastership of data, we know which system should be integrated and how. We also work on defining the best integration patterns. These are just 3 integration patterns, but there are many more. We can use scheduled jobs where we don't have real-time requirements. We can use scheduled jobs when there are a lot of records being moved every day. So we use normally Delta integrations with scheduled jobs. Like products and assets, we don't need to have in real time the new barcode of the new product when it is produced in the CRM. We don't have this requirement, so we can use a scheduled job for it. You see Mulesoft in the middle. Mulesoft is the integration layer that orchestrates everything, that integrates all the system one another, and that enables all the integration. There are other entities instead that require a real-time integration, like the in-store customer search. When you are in a store, in a physical store, you are the assistant of the sale, you are searching for the customer in the app, you have to find the customer in real time. So for sure, that's a real-time requirement. So we implemented with the synchronous REST API calls directly to Salesforce. Also, when you have to create the customer, so both the search and the create and update are done through synchronous API calls. We also have publish subscribe mechanism that is provided by standard from Mulesoft. So there is a module in Mulesoft that allows you to implement a publish subscribe mechanism. It can be used for orders in order to have a near real-time view of the order updates in Salesforce. So when the customer is completing the orders in the e-commerce, we have a publish subscribe mechanism that listens to updates in the orders in the e-commerce and pushes them to Salesforce in near real time, so that we can, again, create marketing automations based on the order updates or other processes that can be enabled. Finally, once we have identified where to go, which tools to map, which entities to map, to integrate, which integration patterns, everything, we came with the solution, like a delivery solution, and we put this solution in a roadmap, in a timeline. As you can see, this project was composed by 4 different streams, 4 different teams of people from Deloitte, from us, working on 4 completely different topics. One is marketing, one is clienteling, so the app in the store, one is the CRM, that is my stream, and one is the order management system. 4 streams plus the integration layer that is not written here. So as you can see, we defined all together, we were 45 people working together for this roadmap implementation, just in Deloitte, plus the customer. And we defined all together this roadmap that we followed very precisely. It took really 6 months to migrate the CRM, so the blue arrow. And it was possible thanks to the fact that Salesforce has a very, very fast time to market. Every change is super fast. Everything is very handy. and building a CRM from scratch in 6 months with all of the other streams and integrations was very tough, but possible with Salesforce and with our expertise, let me say. This is just the detailed roadmap, just to give you an idea on how we work. We have a build phase, a test phase, and a deploy phase. The build phase is normally done in Agile. There are projects where there is 100% pure Agile. There are projects where we have to do a waterfall for many reasons. There are projects where we have to melt hybrid Agile roadmaps. But anyway, normally there is a build phase with sprints of developments, sprint demo, sprint retrospective, all the ceremonies of the Agile Scrum framework that we follow. The test phase, we have system integration tests, we have no regression tests, we have user acceptance tests. We have also tools that allows us to automate the tests. So during the deployment, we can also have automated testing. But then we have also teams that are dedicated to the testing part. And finally, the deployment. So Salesforce, we will see now in a minute, but Salesforce has different environments, test environments and production environments. And so we have to orchestrate the deployments from one system to another together with all the other systems that we are going to integrate. Last part of today is the Devops. So I was just telling you, Salesforce, you can spin off almost unlimited test environments that are copy of your production environments, but without data, or with data, depending on the type of environment. What we did in the project, we identified these type of environments. Production is the live environment, and Salesforce. Hotfix is an environment to use to test very small and fast fixes of the last minute. Then we have a test environment where we test the integrations, where we test with the business, with the customers together. And then we have a merge environment where we merge the developments, the configurations done by all the developers. As you can see, the developers, they can have one environment for each. There are different frameworks. Everyone can work in the same environment, or each developer can work in a dedicated environment. And then everything is merged into a branch and then into a sandbox that is the test Salesforce environment. Then we have to map the other systems to our environments. For example, SAP, it's a legacy tool for the ERP. It has only production and test environment, only two. So we couldn't create more. So we decided to integrate the test environments all together at that level. Mulesoft didn't need to have more environments than these three. So there are the developers that work on one environment. They push their code to the test environment, and they test with the integrations with one or more of the Salesforce test environments. And then production is connected. This is an idea of how are the teams, the development teams. Obviously, there is a PM, a project manager, and then one or more subject matter expert, one for MuleSoft, one for Salesforce, and so. Then each team is quite small, agile. There is a team leader and a tester, and then normally up to 3 developers in order to keep everything agile, fast, and not too much complicated. And this is just the introduction to give you an idea on what we do for the continuous integration. There are different developers on the left. Maybe there are 2 developers working on a stream, even from different suppliers. So it happened that we also worked in the same customer with Deloitte and another supplier. It can be Accenture, it can be another consulting company. So we work together in the same project for the same customer. So we had to build a continuous integration pattern that helped all of us together to work without disruptions and stuff. So there are pull requests approved by the stream team leader. So each stream, each supplier has a team leader that has to check the code and approve the merges. Then there is the release manager that is always one person or one team that is in charge of managing the releases, the merges, the conflicts and stuff. And then there are scheduled deploy to push changes to test, production, and eventually hotfix. This is quite typical, but it works very well. And basically, just to close, how do we do the continuous integration in Salesforce? Salesforce is just like a normal client-server application when it comes to DevOps. So it has all the metadata that are stored as files, and these files are versioned with Git normally. So we can use all the Git clients that exist. To automate the deployments, again, we can use almost everything. Jenkins, we can use Azure DevOps, Bamboo, AutoRabbit, and Copado are typical of Salesforce. There are a lot of tools that we can use for the continuous delivery, continuous deployment. And for sure, for the development, we normally use, we can use Intelligent IDEA, we can use Visual Studio Code, Eclipse, everything. There are extensions that allows you to develop from anywhere. And I think that's it. That's it for today. Okay. Do you have any question, any idea, something that you would like to know a bit in the detail?
Questions for Lorenzo?
Hi, thanks for the presentation.
Thanks.
One question, what was the reason for replacing the client's integration layer? And can Salesforce work also with WSO2, Dell Boomi, besides Mulesoft?
Yeah, so there was a long discussion exactly to understand which were the best integration layer. There was a very long discussion. I didn't follow it directly because I'm more on the Salesforce area, but my colleagues from Mulesoft, they were trying to understand if Boomi or Mulesoft was the right answer based on the licenses. Capabilities at the end, they're almost the same. Let's say Boomi and Mulesoft have both the same capabilities. AWS normally is more custom because you have to build something more custom. So normally we don't recommend it in this kind of projects where we want to stick more to the standard and stuff. But there was a long discussion for it. Yes.
Okay, do we have any more questions? Lorenzo, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for joining us.